G'day folks, Tony again here for more of the jaunty saunterings of Gaunt Bort the Taunter. So we have ourselves in a little bit of a fix here. We've headed down the stairs into another lower section of the caverns below Red Rock, and we already have ourselves just a whole bunch of things that are all sort of packed up around us here, all of which mean us harm. We don't have our boost ability available at the moment. We do, however, have a force bubble. So I think that is probably what we're going to start with, because it's going to allow us the opportunity to push a few different things away. We can move ourselves away from some of the drama, and then we can start trying to take care of, firstly, the snapjaw, which hopefully won't be too much trouble. We'll reload the musket, and now we've got ourselves this brute over this way, so we might also try and take care of them while we can, and there we go. So there's still the issue of the seed-spitting vine down there. We also have a jilted lover that's right next to the stairs back upwards. So we absolutely want to try and get rid of that so that we can move adjacent. And then we're going to try and get a little bit better line of sight. On said seed-spitting plant. Done diddly undone. And we might also now try and take out that other jilted lover, if we can in fact hit it from range. There we go. All right. So that's more or less the immediate problems taken care of. We've still got our force bubble up. I can't imagine it's going to last for too much longer. There it goes. And now that we have everything sort of clear... Whoa, what on earth was that? Seed-spitting vine. All right, we've got another one around here somewhere. We also have a bunch of dreadroots here. Now, these things can most of the time be fairly innocuous and not that much of a problem, but they do have the ability to send you fleeing in terror, and you lose control of yourself for a number of ticks, and you run away completely out of your own control, and that can, in a number of different scenarios, I'm sure you can imagine that can end up getting you killed. So I do tend to try getting rid of them as quickly as possible. We can see that dreadroot has been throwing out some sap. It's also telling us that a young ivory has been revealed. Now, with a character as squishy as Gaunt Bort the Taunter, young ivories are one of the things that I'm most worried about, because they can hit you, I mean, for a 14 hit point character, they can hit you quite hard, and then as you slowly bleed from turn to turn, that can bring you way, way, way down in a pretty bad way. Now, we've got boost toughness here. I'm actually going to activate that for the time being. And I'm trying to figure out where this young ivory is, and it is, in fact, immediately underneath us, but thankfully it doesn't seem to have hit us. That's why I was concerned about a young ivory being revealed and not being able to see it. So we kind of lucked out there, which is nice. And we're going to take that young ivory out. And then we're going to take these dreadroots out as quickly as we're able. We still have a seed-spitting vine that is shooting at us. And we're going to try heading over there and taking care of that as quickly as we can as well. Just got a zone build that we're waiting for here. Now that dreadroot dropped a dreadroot tuber, which is an item that we can use for cooking and a number of things. Nothing in the garbage. Where is this seed-spitting vine? Here it is down here. So let's go and take care of that. Looks like we also have some kudzu here. So there's plenty of flora around here, which is going to try and do us a mischief, but we're going to try and take care of all of that as quickly as we can. All right. Now, there's a bunch of sap that's been splattered on things here. We're actually going to try and grab some of that off of the wall. We should be able to put it into one of these containers here. There'll only be a little bit of it. As best as I recall, sap was not in the game the last time I did a Let's Play. And I don't have any strong recollections of what it is or what it's used for, but I'm just going to pick up a little bit of it because I can. And it's always better to perhaps have something than to not. All right, we have an engraved item here, so we're going to have a look at that and see what it is. This item is engraved with a scene from the life of the ancient Sultan Khosrad II. Good to know. So more in the Sultan histories. We're going to grab that because we'll probably be able to sell it for a little bit more than a typical item. And let's continue having an explore. There's a bent metal sheet there. It's probably not auto getting it because that kudzu is in visible range. And I believe that's the reason why auto get is not being auto. Iron Mace, Worn Burnous. And just a bunch of things that are going to... Just a bunch of different things that are going to rust items, which I'm not a fan of. Okay, good. Let's get rid of that Dreadroot. Nice. So, slow and steady is how we're going to try and take this. As I said before, young ivories are a major concern. Not an awful lot. Chameleon revealed around the corner. Not an awful lot we can do about young ivories, at least to my knowledge. If that is something where you have a strategy in mind that isn't just don't play a squishy character, it'd always be great to hear your suggestions. So feel free to reach out in the comments if you do have any suggestions to offer. Found the stairs down, trying to figure out what we should prioritize here. So Gaunt Bort is level 4 already. We're getting fairly close to level 5, which is not too shabby. And I'm trying to figure out if we're going to be better off just heading down into the dungeon further and trying to get this quest complete, or whether we should try and clear things floor by floor. At the moment, based on the current equipment that we have, I think we can probably find some better stuff if we dig around, but I'm not sure this is quite deep enough in the caverns to find really funky things. There's another young ivory right there, so fortunately we did not walk into it. Although I think that was more good luck than good measure. Seeing as we're here, we're just going to pick up these bits of sap. So remembering that Control G allows you to do a get off of an adjacent square. So we might just have a little bit more of a poke around on this floor, just checking that those bats aren't going to attack us. We might just do a little bit more exploring around on this floor before we head down any further. If I had to pick a general theme for what these caves are like, so clearly the previous incarnation of Gaunt Bort, we had ourselves just a bunch of mushrooms that were causing us all sorts of drama. Ooh, a treasure chest. This time around, we seem to have a predominance of plants, which is not unwelcome. But it's also making me a little concerned about what else might be hiding around in other parts of the dungeon. I'm definitely going to pick up that piece of sap because sap can actually get you stuck when you walk through it, much like tar can, which is less than ideal if you're in a situation where you're trying to flee because there's something that's hitting you really hard. Anyway, can we hit this thing, this kudzu, at range? Starting to get a little concerned about potentially wasting ammunition here, so we might run the gauntlet. We're going to move in next to the kudzu and hope that it doesn't rust anything and just see how that goes. Pretty straightforward. So let's, whoops, let's open the chest, shall we? Star apple, yummy. Bandage, that's good for bleeding. We've got a little bit of scrap. And a bronze longsword, which isn't really a priority considering that we're so close to our weight limit. Right, Kudzu's attacking us. There's so many of them around on the walls here. I don't think that we're going to be able to avoid them as a matter of course. So we're just going to have to try our luck and see what happens. All right, what's that water? Have we got ourselves fresh water or salty water? Brackish water. Brackish sugary water. Sugary. I'm assuming that means that some sap went into it in that case. So there are potential combinations of liquids that can flow into one another. So brackish usually means that you had some fresh water that ended up with some salt water in it. And then sugary, which again I don't recall seeing before, I'm assuming means that some water ended up with some sap in it, which would make sense. So many dreadroots. Not a fan. So let's take care of them before they make us do something silly. We're getting very close to our carry limit here as well, I think. All right, there we go. Oops. Let's try taking that out. Good, good, good. Nothing in the garbage. And we're now 1 pound away. Oh boy, we are just having a lot of luck with walking adjacent to young ivories, but not through them. Let's hope that continues. Leather moccasins. Are we wearing anything on our feet? Spring-loaded leather moccasins. What do they do again? I'm assuming that gives us a bonus to movement speed. Yes. All right. So we're going to leave those moccasins there. That's not a particular priority. Whoa! What on earth died here that was carrying 43 drams of fresh water? That's nuts. I'm very grateful to have all of that water, but that is going to be weighing us down and we're not going to be able to move. So what are we going to drop? That's 40 unburnt torches weighing 40 pounds. I think I found an easy way for us to be able to move again, folks. Good job, team. We've done well. Is there something under there? What was that exclamation mark for? I'm attacking a corpse, sure. Oh, there's a dreadroot underneath that. And apparently I had to... apparently I had to destroy the corpse before I could hit it. That's fine. Handled it. Problem solved. Okay. Now the fact that we've already luckily managed to dodge a couple of young ivories has really got me sort of on edge here. It's not a fun way to perish. It does feel a little bit icky to just die from a hit from an enemy that you didn't know was there. But in all honesty, if that happens, it really is on me because I've elected to play intentionally quite a squishy build because I like the way that this build makes me think very carefully about tactical choices. Burnt capacitor got rusted. No, about tactical choices when we're in combat. I took an opportunity to have a sip of fresh water in the middle of that fight, so definitely keeping my cool. There's clearly a bunch more dungeon over this way, so let's go and see what we can find. It'd be nice to find another treasure chest, preferably one that is not guarded by something hideous. or terrifying. All right. So a fairly straightforward area of dungeon here, which I had assumed given that we found the stairs down so rapidly. So let's make our way to those stairs now, and we'll head down and see what awaits us. A mysterious, seemingly empty cave, which I don't believe for a moment. All right, bunch of iron things coming through here, and a bunch of snapjaws coming at us to attack. Lacquered bronze two-handed sword. I mean, lacquered is nice, but we don't really need it at this point. So we'll just continue to try and take these things down. Let's just do a quick heal. We can't do a quick heal because there are things inbound. That's fine. Quilted shawl. Not entirely sure as to what that's going to get us. 10 cold resist. I don't think that's going to sell for any extraordinary amount, so we might leave it there. Okay, so just because we're down one level further in the dungeon doesn't mean that young ivory problem has gone away. In fact, I would expect it to potentially only become more problematic. Although I must say that having had the last character whom I did a Let's Play with, Blanc the Unkillable, be killed by a lurking Beth from a hit point pool of 87 hit points. Not all in one hit, I might add, but I was not prepared for a lurking Beth. It was the first time that I'd come across such a thing. I had no idea what it was, or how to deal with it. So I've just had to swap out the musket. We've run out of lead slugs, but we've still got our bow here, which, while slightly less effective, is going to let us shoot one turn at a time without having to reload at all, which is nice. And in fact, putting some arrows in the knee of that chameleon has let us level up to level 5, which is hunky-dory. 1 hit point, 74 skill points, and 1 mutation point. Now, if I am not mistaken, that's going to mean that we have 4 mutation points, which is how many we need to buy a new random mutation. That verb buy has always been humorous to me. I'm not sure who I'm buying it from, but certainly acquiring another mutation I think is going to be pretty good because we have this ego boost. So again, if we have a look over here at these mutation abilities, you'll see there's a 3 in parentheses in green after these things. And looking at the detail, it will tell us that this mutation's effective level is increased by 2 due to your high ego. So what that should mean is that if we get an entirely new mutation using our 4 mutation points, it is also automatically going to get that ego boost, which is rather nice. Now, we also have now 296 skill points. So clearly, because I'm trying to talk and play at the same time, I've forgotten to spend skill points, so my apologies. Let's have a look now and see how we might spend these things. I'm going to go down the bottom to tactics because that's one that I often look at. You receive no penalty to your dodge value when you sprint. Sprinting is not something that we have done a ton of at the moment, although Duke might be handy. You move 1 square at no energy cost. You may swap squares with a hostile opponent. I could definitely see that being useful. However, let's consider the opportunity cost of some other things that we may be giving up for it. Bloodletter is something that I like, and why I think I'm probably going to be preferencing short blades for this character. 75% chance to cause your opponent to bleed, 0 to 1 damage per turn. Good. Jab, so we're not dual wielding here. We don't have a weapon in the offhand. And I don't know what the trade-off there is. If we were to move our torch to our primary hand and then have a short blade in the offhand, even with this bonus, I don't know how that stacks up in terms of its effectiveness. relative effectiveness. Hobble. 50% penalty to move speed if we hit an enemy. Which is also nice, but again, I don't know exactly what that allows us to do yet. And then we also have this one, which synergizes with Duke. Whenever you duke an opponent while wielding a short blade in your primary hand, you make a free attack. If you have Bloodletter, the attack's chance to cause bleeding is 100%. That is rather good. So to get Bloodletter and Pointed Circle and Duke, so that's 250 there. Another 50 to get Tactics at all. So that's 300. That's 500 total. So we're a ways off getting that yet. But hey, that sounds like a thing that we could do. Let's Tumble give us Duke's cooldown reduced to 20. +1 bonus to your dodge value. I mean, that's nice, sure. What about Tinkering? I think we're intelligence limited here at the moment, and indeed we are. So we can cross that one off our list. I think I'm going to go with Bloodletter at the moment because making things bleed sounds like a fun time. What we might do next then is we'll go down here to Tactics. And I'm going to get that one. And we might leave it at that at this point. I don't think that we're going to need... I don't think that we're going to need Butchery just yet, although that is something that it would be nice to get. Anyway, trade-offs within trade-offs within trade-offs. What am I forgetting? Mutation points. Let's buy a new random mutation and see what we end up with. I am absolutely sure. So when you buy a new random mutation, it gives you 3 options. You get to pick one of them. Mental Mirror, reflect mental attacks back at your attackers. Sure. Space-time Vortex, you sunder space-time, sending things nearby, careening through a tear in the cosmic fabric. Summons a vortex that extinguishes everything in its path. You may enter the vortex to teleport to a random location in Quud. I mean, that sounds fun. That's totally something that I would jump on if I wasn't recording a Let's Play video. Because I would imagine that heading through said vortex and teleporting would probably result in being dead pretty swiftly thereafter. Stunning Force. You invoke a concussive force in a nearby area, throwing enemies backward and stunning them. 50 round cooldown, which is pretty short. Range of 8, which is nice. 7x7 area, which is also nice. And creatures are pushed away from the center of the blast, stunned and dealt crushing damage in up to 3 increments. That, I think, is probably the pick of the bunch because we are quite squishy and because things are getting close to us, presumably have a greater chance of killing us. It would be nice to be able to throw them away with something with such a quick cooldown. I'm also curious to see how that synergizes with Force Bubble, so we're going to grab that. And indeed, it does have that bonus. So now that it's already level 3, damage increment 1 die 3. Good. So those leveling ups don't increase the range of the area or the cooldown timer. Good to know. Okay, so now that we're at level 5 and we have an extra hit point up to 15, we have ourselves a new mutation. And we've got ourselves the ability to make enemies bleed and not lose dodge value when we sprint. Even with all of that in place, we're still probably going to die. And we may well die right here in this cave. Let's see how we go. Giant centipedes, which I can't imagine are going to be a problem. I probably shouldn't say these things out loud because it jinxes them, but if I'm not talking during a Let's Play, then what am I even doing here? An engraved bronze battle axe. Let's have a look-see at what this engraving is all about. Classic. So this is Zoxarad the First, not to be confused with Zoxarad the Second. It's good to get our Sultan histories correct. We're going to grab that in case we can sell it for some things, although that does bring our encumbrance up to 235. Now, it's a cannibal, I believe, and they are hostile very well. So, I don't imagine that we are going to find what's eating the water vine on this level of the dungeon, because if we had, it would probably have told us so already. Or a masterwork club. Very nice. La-di-da. Masterwork meaning the weapon scores critical hits twice as often. And presumably also will sell for a pretty penny. Let's drop some more things. We're not going to drop more of our torches. However, what else are we carrying here that weighs a lot? Well, our musket for starters, but I ain't throwing that away. We've got ourselves a lot of water. Also don't want to throw that away because it's literally money. Options. Probably some weapons. Let's go with those bronze daggers. We'll drop both of those. That gives us £2. We have a bunch of iron things. That's rusted. It's only £1, but it can totally go. Farewell. We want to keep the engraved and painted and masterwork things. That iron mace is £6, so to the bin with you. And that gives us an extra £9, which is not going to be enough based on how heavy this corpse is going to be. Should we be fortunate enough. There's that flea in action. Should we be fortunate enough to actually find the water vine creatures. Okay. Always having to resist the urge that I have to move swiftly through an area that I have already traversed. Because on a character like this, that is a surefire way to blunder into a young ivory and move a bunch of squares afterwards and end up bleeding out with without meaning to. Come on, cave spider. How many arrows do I need to put in you? Quite a few by the looks of it. Okie dokie. So a fairly large-ish cave area down here. Is this section of the cave clearly a little more open than some of the other floors that we've been on. Taking our goodly time to actually hit that centipede. Nice. Let's head down this tight corridor and see what we find. Ow! What was that? Where did all that blood come from? I assume it was me. Appears to be the case. A cannibal, so there's something nearby. Not exactly sure where. Oh, there we go. Hi, how's it going? Let's try a rest while we can. Good, good. We'll take this cannibal down. Done. An unburnt torch. I don't think we need any more of them right now. Let's keep going over to the west here. Do a bit of a circuit around this cave complex. So some fairly large rooms with some fairly readable connectivity, which is nice for my brain, where I like to clear things in a methodical manner. It's always easier. What was that? I just heard a weird noise. Something is shooting at us with some sort of ranged weapon that is more than just a bow and arrow. And I don't like it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to boost our toughness. And I'm also going to drop a force bubble. Borderlands revolver. Bingo. That was what I heard shooting before, and I very much want one of those. Thank you so much. Can we load it? We don't have anything to load it with. It's going to use lead slugs, but wow, a revolver is quite a nice find. I'm very happy with that. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to use it. And it's always nice to to know exactly what it was that we heard making that that terrifying sound. I don't like hearing unexpected or unusual noises here. My first thought was, oh, please tell me that wasn't a turret. Even a musket turret in the wrong place at this point would not be good for us. So perhaps in hindsight, not the best use of popping boost toughness and the force bubble, but better safe than sorry. And if nothing else, it's allowed us to survive for one more episode of this Let's Play, because that's all the time we have right now. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when other episodes are released. And please, please, please tell a friend if you think they might enjoy this. I'm also hopefully going to remember to actually put Gaunt Bort the Taunter's character build code in the description notes for the episode. So have a look there for that and yell at me if I have forgotten. Thanks very much, folks, and come back again soon for more of the jaunty saunterings of Gaunt Bort the Taunter.